G'day, welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I've got another product release video for our 4AW store. This one's on our 4AW slider, which is this component here, which is on the back of this one over here, and I've got it sitting on one here as well. But it looks like a bag rider in this situation. What it actually is a rail with a bearing rail in it, which slides backwards and forwards. That means that it does the job which I've used in various places, and now I've ended up using in the back here as a sliding rail. So whether it's on the back, and I'll go through that in a minute, or it's in the middle as it's set up on this one here, or even on the front and to run your bipod on. So in the back with a monopod or a rest in the back there, the middle in the way of a tripod, or up the front as a bipod mount, it can do all those things. Now I've used them in all that sort of form, a bearing sliding system in that form. And I suppose the basics of this concept is that when we're trying to shoot as accurately as we can, is that we want the rifle to move straight forward and back. We don't want it to buck up, we don't want to wriggle around, we want to go straight forward and back. So the same sort of setup as you'll see in F-class shooting or in any precision style shooting, you want the rifle to move as straight as possible. The normal way to do that is with front rest with a sliding bag or sliding rail system in the front there, or with rear bags and that sort of stuff to support everything. We do it generally with a well set up bipod system, so that it's got a nice rock backwards and forwards, and then it goes into adjustable bag base, which means it's adjustable but slides through the back of a bag. So that gives us that straight forward and back on recoil, which gives us a lot of a real enhancement to precision. In thinking about how I could turn that more into a tactical form in the way of being able to use it on a rifle, hunting, all that sort of stuff, and give you the same sort of accuracy in the field with a very little kit, low weight, all that sort of stuff, looked at lightening my rear bag base or different bags and different bits and pieces. But really, when I stopped and stepped back from thinking about the bag base and went to what I want to do, I want to control the back of it. There is a system for giving a good adjustment in the likes of a monopod. But the problem with the monopod is it skids across the ground. It's not going to, unless you're sitting on a concrete bench or something smooth at the back there, then it has some negatives it's going to dig in. So why don't I do this? And I've used it before. So now what we have, this is one of those sliders set up where, as you can see, that we can just go straight forward and back on recoil, your preload forward on your bipod system, or no preload, whatever you want. But when it goes bang, it's going to come straight back. That is nice, straight forward and back motion. So that's the place where I come up for that scenario there, where you have the ability to just have a rifle set up on a normal bipod, doesn't need one of these systems here. Our bipod system is set up to give you long legs, so there's a low arc with a low center of gravity, so that it balances nicely, it sits up well, it goes around the barrel, it's not mounted to the barrel, it mounts to the chassis. But even with a normal bipod system, and your setup works there, normally shooting on a bag, then having this system with a monopod, now this sort of monopod is adjustable. Let me undo that. So you can then adjust your height and then fine tune your height, so you can set yourself right up onto target, aim precisely on target. This is a little lockdown system on here that you spin down and lock up on top of it wherever you want to set it up, so you basically can then lock it up so it's locked in that position for shooting. Don't need to lock it up, but if you wanted to, you could. So then you can get precise, accurate positioning onto target where everything's supported properly, and then when you fire the trigger, you're going to get this straight forward and back motion. So that was that way of doing things. Now that doesn't need to just operate like that. It can also operate just sitting on a bag like that. So then you could use the rail system as well, sitting on the bag. So then you're going to get that same straight forward and back barrel motion. I've got a little sticky thing on the leg there to stop the leg moving around. The straight forward and back barrel motion is the same thing. So whether it's in a bag or up adjusted on that sort of stuff, very usable, or just as a bag rider, it will do the same thing. Now, I mentioned you can run in these other places, and I suppose to explain a little more of the design of the sliding rail, it's all about that straight forward and back, and it matters front as well as it does rear. The first place I used the bearing system was when I was taming down and trying to get a bipod on a 50 BMG to be able to grip the ground properly but it needed to be able to deal with the motion. Big strong bipod, didn't have flex in the bipod, wanted to have that motion, and I mounted a bearing system up the front. So I did sell them for a little while, where I had a bearing system up the front there to be able to mount a bipod to all the rest of it. Well, this component will do the same thing. I no longer sell those. They got complicated I was buying bearing blocks and bits and pieces in it. This has got ball bearings or roller bearings in it, but otherwise it's all made by ourselves. So the whole lot, stainless steel in the rail and pins and things in the bottom in there, and the shafts or the axles that are in there, and then hard anodized black aluminium on the outside of it. So that's what it's made out of. But it could now do that front job as well, where you could actually put it up the front and mount a bipod to it if that's what you wanted. You wanted that sliding action on a bipod system. So some of those very heavy, rigid bipods that don't have any flex, you can put this on and then you get that straight forward and back motion without the legs moving. So without the feet moving, I should say. So you let the bipod move. And then the next place I've used it is in this one here. I'll move this fella out of the road a little bit so you can see. Yeah, wait a minute, we'll stand it back up so it gets out of the road a little bit. This one here, yeah, we'll just free that up. So this is a system set up where now I've got that in the tripod system. So the same sort of thing. I started to use that through, rather than getting this rise that you get out of shooting on a tripod, you can then use it where you have to set up and learn to shoot with the right sort of preload so you can get control, but you get this straightforward and back action here. So nice, simple, straightforward and back action. You can still get to preload on things, or you can free shoot, however you want to do that, but the rail sits on here. And that is done very simply with, we'll take this one off and sit it down over here. By the way, that's just a little 22. When I actually tested this system, I was using a 300 Win mag, so tested it very thoroughly, worked really nice on that sort of level. And that one there is simply a rail system set up like that. So I have what I'm going to sell in the store, an Arca rail that clamps to the bottom rail. And I'm also going to sell in the store, this isn't something I make, this is from BT Industries, but this is an Arca quick release clamp on the top of it. So that system going like that. Obviously, if you don't have a rail, you could bolt these systems, which is the way I did it on the 300 Win mag. I bolted this directly, the rail directly to the, using, there's different drillings on the top here, but that went directly to the M-locks on the bottom of that chassis. So that bolted directly on, and then I just quick released it in and out of this. Then the Arca just went in and out of my tripod system. So listen, lots of different ways to skin that cat. I'll put that one out of the road. And we'll pick this back center stage. Okay, so the basics of how we're going to sell this, I should say, on the store, there is some components. There is some components, be it the monopod, the quick release Picatinny rail, and the quick release in the Arca rail, that are components I've bought in. Now, I'm not looking at being an on-seller for those products, but I do want to be able to, for people who just want to buy them in one place, so for a lot of people, there's buying it in one shop, being able to buy it all there works for you. Equally, it's probably cheaper to buy these if you're in the US and it's easy enough for you to buy in extra places. You could go and buy at BT Industries or wherever you can get them, but basically they're set up for these systems. So the BT Industries, in which I think this is actually, I've forgotten actually, I'll put down there who makes these, but these are a component they buy in as well. So we basically can buy it where you buy a rail with one of these. If you want the other bits and pieces, the likes of you want it with an Arca rail, then we'll have that option there. So you'll be able to buy it with a rail and with the slider and an Arca rail. If you want it with a slider, Arca rail and a quick release, Arca quick release, then we'll do it like that. And we'll do the same sort of things. The basic one, they'll all come with a Picatinny rail, and then you can also buy it with a Picatinny quick release, and we'll have these on the store as something that you can buy with any one of those options if you want to buy it, where you can buy the monopod if you want to. Like I said, all those accessories will be able to be bought wherever you want them. They are just, we're helping things out, but you won't be able to buy these accessories from the store by themselves. We're not looking at simply being a transfer point for that sort of stuff, only to go with the sliders. So listen, that's about what I can tell you. Well, I suppose the bit I can finish with is the testing I've done with them has been awesome. They shot really well. I've now got a new batch in. We've got a batch out. We had a pre-order. We've filled our pre-orders. We've got the next batch is here now, so we're ready to assemble and send out that sort of stuff. Be a couple of days on an order and we get them straight out. And listen, to be honest, they are, I think, in all the different ways you use them, it is really a product I'm very proud of, and you really can use this in so many different fashions, but it really is able to get around all those sort of problems. So I envisage even doing some testing this season of using just a rail with a bipod, with one of our universal bag riders bolted to it to then sit in a bag. So then I'm just using a bearing slide on the back here with the normal bag rider on the bottom of it, and then see if there's any difference that I feel out of doing it that way. So I'm actually using a slider in between a bag rider. So rather than sliding across the bag, which works very well, is I'll actually be sliding on a set of bearings. All look the same, but actually have a set of bearings I'm working with. And I suppose we'll go back and do some testing with the bipod up the front on that side of things. I do like and did found that I like that preload. I like that sort of little bit of spring that you sort of get out of working with legs moving on my bipod system. But listen, there's all sorts of different setups, all sorts of different bipods, all sorts of different shooters, and this is just a component that can go in the middle there, and I think you'll find for a lot of people it'll be a real winner. Anyway, product video, I should stop telling you it's good. It's on the store. I've put a link down below. If you have a look at that, there's a fair few different ways you can buy this, work out what suits you, and I hope we can help. Anyway guys, thank you very much for checking in. We'll catch you next time.